Hello, everyone. Michael here from Spendcodes. Excited to be here with you today to walk you through stablecoins for on-site merchants. Appreciative to the Payment Choice Coalition, their partners, and their membership for requesting this presentation, as well as accompanying guide that we've provided to all the participants. And what we intend to do today is walk you through some of the top of mind questions from merchants and franchise owners and executive business leaders that they have as they're approaching stablecoin strategy for their locations, point of sales, and all their checkouts in order to take advantage of the significant savings that stablecoins can provide. So we have about 3 to 4 top of mind questions that help be able to establish the path for your organization. And we're going to do it in a short period of time. So we might as well just jump into it and get a basis of understanding for how to approach developing your plan. So first, what digital assets should we accept? Great question because there's been a lot of momentum around changes in policy, new laws written into the US, right, on the back of the Genius Act. So asking this question as a baseline is certainly a good place to start. Now, there's a lot of details you can get into in terms of what networks, what wallets, what tokens are interesting that you should report or account for bit by bit. But more broadly, we like to advise different teams to think about three approaches on this scale. And the approaches fit one of these three areas, either accepting all digital assets where there are plenty of services that can allow you to do that, accepting top digital assets like a curated set of a few tokens, maybe stablecoins, et cetera, right, in order to approve some efficiencies on both the checkout process as well as back office and value management. And then finally, there are a few solutions that have started to emerge around accepting only regulated stablecoins and turning those regulated stablecoins to fiat dollars at the merchant's option for a variety of different reasons to help them with their back office and help them with the reporting and taxes. So the reason why you'd go ahead and look for a solution that helps you accept all digital assets is because this would represent the largest market cap and the greatest potential value for these new customers coming through the door and wanting to spend with digital assets, and helps your staff give them the ability to say yes, really, at any of those interactions. But there's a few reasons why you may not want to have services that accept all digital assets. And that starts with the point of sale efficiencies. So if you've never used one of these services before, what you can see in the engagement is that customers usually need to specify the wallet that they're spending with, the network that supports that wallet, and then the token that they actually want to issue payment with. And that's all before the interaction between the business and the customer actually comes together in order to complete a transaction, right? So clearly a few more steps than just being able to quickly give someone some cash or swipe a card. Now, additionally, when you're thinking about all these approaches, you should think about those efficiencies as well as some of the management in the back office, right? So once you accept either Bitcoin or Ether on Ethereum or stablecoins or many other tokens, there is the management aspect of where are these, currencies? Where is this value? How do I make sure that I have all of it and I'm accounting for it correctly? And so some of these things that you should look out for in your services is how do these services plan to do that? Are they giving you more flexibility as a feature, or do they have a strategy for making it simpler for you to manage the value that comes through? Now, the second group of services fit this view of top digital assets in order to improve a little bit on both sides, both the checkout process flow as well as the back office management, right? And so these could look like, instead of endless networks and endless tokens, it could look like just Bitcoin, just a few stable coins, maybe Ether on Ethereum, etc., right? But it's a short set of popular assets that allow for the checkout process to be a little faster and then also help on the management for those thinking about reporting, taxes, etc. They know how they can handle the volatility involved with some of those tokens, as well as be able to quickly manage it. So they're making sure that they've accounted for all the value that's come through. Now, there are a few services that fit the third, including Spendcodes, which really focus on regulated stablecoin acceptance, given the momentum and some of the belief that stablecoins market cap will 10x in the next few years, in general projections from the US Department of Treasury. And so in these services, this is the easiest on both sides for merchants trying to get started. In the checkout process, because they're streamlined to only regulated stablecoins, the transaction process feels very familiar, almost exactly like a tap to pay experience for a card, where they're only using one currency. It's expected, so they settle. There's no configuration and setting by the customer upfront. They just need to go ahead and either use NFC or QR codes to tap to spend. Now, once those are spent, the merchant has the option in their organization to do one of two things: take those regulated stablecoins in at dramatic savings, or additionally add a little fee for being able to convert to fiat dollars in their bank account. And this is preferred by some merchants that really just want to make sure that all the funds that are flowing through today really have the same uniform currency so they can run their taxes, their reporting, and understand the value that's coming through their organization. So these are things that you can look for in terms of general approaches on how to handle digital asset acceptance. Now, once you've covered those sort of mental models, the next natural question is, what does our point of sale support? And what we've provided in our guide that we've issued out to participants on this call is a few different tables comparing some of the most popular point of sale hardware systems that are available today. And so you'll see this list in alphabetical order, including hardware like Clover, NCR, Pax, Square, etc. And it'll show a breakdown of what their stablecoin and digital asset acceptance status is currently. Does it need manual integration? Or is there a parent or partner solution that's available? What method or service do they use to be able to make digital asset acceptance possible for your organization? Do they have a preference on point of sale supported stablecoins? And what does the settlement look like for merchants just by using what's available through point of sale? And so what you're going to see here is a list that has a number of different services that are potential, but most of them are only possible right now through manual integration. And what that will require is bespoke IT services, development teams being able to pair some of these services that are software services into your point of sale because there's not already a accepted solution that's on most of the hardware. Some may have indicated that they have future plans in different press releases and some of the things that they've shared socially. And so we've included as many of those as we can find in order to give an indication of what today looks like and what tomorrow looks like potentially for the hardware solutions that you have at most of your locations. Now, one of the items that want to highlight here as you look through the support across typical hardware is this idea around soft POSs. And soft POS is just a term for a mobile device that acts like a point of sale system. And there's a recent payments.com report that shows that 71% of merchants are looking to go this direction because they're fully featured, they're ubiquitous, they're affordable, right? And they're very familiar to staff. Everyone knows how to use a mobile phone. So because that, many merchants expect in the next 2 years, they're going to gravitate to mobile devices versus all of this hardware that they've had in the past. And so Spendcodes is one of those services that believes in that direction and can see that there's two things that are really nice about being able to start with soft POSs today. One is you can be able to run a distribution or a trial without integration just by being able to have a mobile device that's in parallel as another device alongside your point of sale. And then additionally, at scale, as your organization starts transitioning to more affordable devices and starts picking up more adoption around soft POS, it starts becoming the way to not only get savings from stablecoins, but everything else that's a part of it. So it's definitely one to consider that is a bit different than the rest, right? So if your team is looking to be able to start transitioning your hardware, you don't have to start today. You can run it alongside in order to be able to see how stablecoins work for your organization. And in that sort of process, you can find yourself in a place where it's easy to pilot and it's easy to roll out tomorrow. Okay, now, what the next natural question that comes out of all this is, All right, so we see what our point of sale does or more likely does not do today. What do the services detail look like? What are transaction costs? Are there service memberships? All of those details. And again, we've included that in our guide down below here where it shows fees and settlement times for stablecoin services. There are a few of these that have some references to having successful manual integrations from point of sale services, and we've included those in the table above. But down here are more of the details of those software services specifically, starting with transaction fees. What do they actually cost? What other considerations are part of the fees that you need to spend as part of taking transactions with these different services? What's the settlement time? Meaning specifically, digital assets are usually pretty fast, but if there are other layers as part of the end-to-end service between you actually accepting the digital asset and you actually holding the value, what does that look like? What considerations are in there? Volatility risk, this is around mostly digital assets, right? Is there something that the service actually provides to help you with the volatility in consideration and management of that? And then the final part is distribution and administration, which is a big consideration for franchise owners as well as enterprise business owners who see stablecoins working on single wallets out on various apps, but may not be clear that there are already solutions for stablecoin acceptance with organizational administration, right? Far beyond just single wallets at one specific point of sale. And so you'll see the details in here, right? And as you go through this, the things that most folks will really start asking in their organization is, okay, how do we go and distribute this without disruption, right? So stablecoins are here and they are an attractive option, but it's still very early, right? And the amount of customers that are increasing their spend and their activity in stablecoins is very real. But that said, cards are very real and a material part of your organization, and other payment options probably are as well. So, how do you actually go ahead and support stablecoins while not interfering with the rest of this so you can conduct your business? Well, what's also important to think about is this is not just a single store strategy, right? If you test it in a single store and it works, great. But as you're doing this, you need to have a process that makes sure that each checkout at every point of sale across all locations is going to be meaningful and won't just leave you in a cul-de-sac after you've finished testing and experimenting the value. So additionally, what we like to present is spend codes and the understanding that 71% of merchants believe they're migrating to soft POS very soon, within the next 2 years. And this is material because very familiar to some of the point of sale things that you're familiar with cards, soft POSs, given their mobile phones, have full features, including QR code scanning and NFC signals, to allow customers that are coming in with mobile devices to be able to quickly get the order amount and spend as you requested to be able to handle the transaction in a very delightful, familiar way. Now, why this is all important is because there are questions around, okay, so where are the customers? How will this happen in the future? And two stats really stand out, right? So you've probably used a virtual card on a mobile phone, Apple Pay and Google Pay, etc. And those virtual cards are a great experience. But it turns out there's only 25% of the US adults use virtual cards in store today, whereas 90% of adults own a smartphone and use app daily. And what Spendcodes, as well as a few other services, provide is an ability to allow these app users on mobile phones to be able to quickly spend without the administration and setup that virtual cards require in order to have that same great experience. So you're just seeing the same experience at a scale that seems to continue to grow. Okay. Now, last thing that's important to take a look at here is you don't have to take my word for it. We've included links down at the bottom to check out some of these services in terms of, okay, so spend code sounds like it's really seamless and it allows for some options for us to be able to quickly trial and pilot to get a better sense of how stablecoins will work for us in our organization. But you can go ahead and take a look at some of these top services and their experience through these demos that are provided. And you can see it firsthand on YouTube links about what the customer and the merchant has to consider in the overall transaction process and really come to a sense of what fits best for your organization. All right. So, last question that comes up from merchants and business owners is around accounting. And we've covered a little bit of this, but I think there's one more point that's really important to mention right now for the current state of stablecoins, right? So stablecoins definitely have some momentum in terms of policy clarity and regulation clarity by Genius Act coming into law. But it's important to note for tax and reporting purposes that stablecoins are not yet considered a medium of exchange like the US dollar, but considered rather as property. And this distinction is important because every transaction with stablecoins is a taxable event, right? And can leave some challenges for being able to report them today as that currently exists. Mainly because stablecoins can theoretically depeg from the dollar they intend to present. And so that change in value can be looked at as capital loss or capital gain and needs to be reported appropriately at these distinct activities, events, and moments, right? So, what we tend to recommend for right now is looking for services that allow you to eliminate that challenge by instantly converting to fiat dollars and having all funds flow in the same way for reporting and tax purposes. Now, just make sure that those services also allow you to back up into stablecoins, meaning turn the setting off for fiat conversion and accept stablecoins only in the years ahead when this distinction gets clarified, and you will additionally get the increased savings available for running 100% stablecoins in your operation. All right, great. So that's stablecoins for on-site merchants. I'm Michael here from Spendcodes. You can find me in a number of different places, from LinkedIn to email, hello@spendcodes.com. Really appreciate the Payment Choice Coalition for requesting our time and guidance on these issues. Happy to be able to walk you through any questions you may have in the future, and I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.